The Possessed is one of the most hyped drops that has happened this year. On Opensea, they're absolutely killing it with a whole bunch of crazy volume. So let's jump in and check out the post-drop stats. This is pre-reveal to kind of see where the price is sitting at, price floors, things like that. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is my interpretation of the data. So please do your own research before moving in or out of these trades, because this is a highly speculative market. Now, touching on it real quick, 220,000 followers on Twitter, absolutely killing it. When we hit to Opensea, there is a supply of 10,000 with 8,000 owners, so a very good supply kind of holder ratio, which is really good to see. And then the floor price is currently sitting just under that 0.6 mark, which is very good, very healthy. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over onto Nansen right now. Now, Nansen is a great tool. We can see here in terms of sort of volume over the last 24 hours, the Possessed has done sort of almost 5,000 ETH worth of volume, just absolutely eclipsing everything else within the market. Now, Nansen, I've got a link to a tutorial on how to use Nansen up here, and there is an affiliate link below. So if you do end up wanting to use Nansen to kind of have a look around and investigate, link below. But because it's an affiliate link, I do get a kickback. So please keep that in mind if you do go ahead and do something. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump down into the project within Nansen. Now, what you can kind of see here is you can get a base kind of floor of the stats. And then, so Possessed, what we can see here, and it's nothing kind of new, the fact is we've got the floor price here of where it's kind of sitting. Ignore the here saying it was 5.6 ETH in the last day. So the floor price is 0.6 ETH, and then we've also got the volume. Now, when we actually have a look at the price charts, what I'm kind of taking away from here and that I like is that we've had these initial kind of spikes when it first when people got their first mints, and then we have seen this rise up. There's a lot of the volume when the kind of sale was happening, and then people kind of getting them, which is great to see. And then what I do like here is the fact that it has continued up and then it's sitting flat. Now, it has sit flat for a past sort of the past 12 hours or so, and this is quite good because usually what you will see is a dip down on a project, and the fact that it is sitting quite flat is good. What I would be looking at here when it comes down to the Possessed is with this kind of 0.5 to 0.6 mark, the 0.55 to 0.6 mark, as long as it kind of holds there before you get to the reveal, that's kind of what I'll be looking at, just to kind of gauge the strength of the project. So when we kind of have a look back in here, if we do kind of sit flat, and it's not hard, you don't need Nansen for these tools, as long as you kind of know that you're hitting up at around that sort of 0.55 to 0.6 ETH mark, you know that it's hitting steady and strong. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to then move on and have a look at some of the like almost a deeper dive into those numbers and those stats. And then when we have a look here, what you can see here is the way that the sales have gone. Now, this is exactly how this is almost like a textbook chart when it comes down to the peak. So very first it runs up, then it kind of comes back down. You always see a low. You then end up seeing a high. You then get a sort of a low here. Then it ends up finding this middle ground. You have seen this pip down to the 0.55 here, which isn't bad. This is just the market trying to find where it's going to go. So the idea here is that we are hitting a crazy resistance at sort of 0.65. So you can see that it's kind of tapped here. You can also see the other tap here. And then you can also see people are purchasing up at around that 5.5, and you can see these marks here. When it does hit a 5.5, it bounces back up. That's why I think we're in a position when it comes down to the Possessed to sit between that 0.55 to 0.6 mark, because that 0.6 mark's kind of sitting in the middle, with the 6.5 being that kind of ceiling where things aren't necessarily kind of going to break through. So what this means is it means that if you are looking for an exit point above 0.65, most likely not going to happen. But if it does break down underneath the 0.55 and it doesn't kind of make a quick retrace up, and this is all, I will kind of caveat, this is all before reveal, I would be kind of a little bit concerned if you are trying to sort of exit the project. It does mean that an entry point does look around that sort of 5.5. That's where people are picking it up. So you could kind of swing the 0.1 between it, but I don't think we're going to necessarily see a 0.65 just yet within the next little bit. But saying that, I can be wrong. The market is the market. when we have a look at some of the breakdowns of the top holders, top balances, things like that, this gives us an indication of what's actually kind of happening within the market and who these kind of collectors are of the Possessed. Now we can see that the top wallet has 250 NFTs. Now, I'm going to come back to this momentarily, and I want to touch on the rest of the holders down around here. So when you actually have a look at the holders, essentially the top 20, we've got a decent spread, and I actually like this spread. We've got between sort of 32 and essentially 10. When you do see a large distribution, so you've got the top holder having 100, then you kind of go 50, then you get 30s, and then you end up with sort of 10 or 20 here, then it gets a little bit worrying. But the fact is, there is a decent spread between the kind of top buyers. The reason I like this is it shows that you don't have too many crazy huge whales when it comes down to the project, and I think that's very important to kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at a project, because a very huge whale kind of scooping some stuff up, it can be nefarious, but then it could also be the fact that someone is trying to sort of game the system and then have a ceiling on the market. Now, the reason that I wanted to kind of touch on the fact that we have this 250 is the fact that when we actually have a look at that wallet, what we can see is they're just holding Possessed. So what this shows me is that this is a marketing dev wallet where they're holding the 250. Those of you that kind of are very deep in it, you'll kind of know exactly what the splits and allocations would be. But this is also something to keep in mind, and that's why I never really jump to conclusions when there is a very large outstanding kind of thing. And it also means that you could then track this wallet so that you can actually see what the team is doing and see if they are actually kind of gifting them to the people that they are gifting them, because everything is on chain, and that's a very good thing to kind of keep an eye on. Now, what I'm going to do is jump in and check out the distribution of holders, how many holders there are, and a bit of that. Now, when we have a look, we can see here that we capped out at sort of 8,322 holders, and then it's pulled back to around that sort of 795, so around that 8,000. So the fact is, a lot of people did get them. Well, not a lot of people did get them on offload, but the fact is we've had a pullback of around about 300. So it shows you that there are a lot of people that were able to get them, and with a supply of 10,000 and holders of 8,000, that's very crazy. That's very good, and I like this when it comes down to what a project can actually kind of attain in terms of like a holder ratio. So I am very happy with where this is kind of sitting at around that sort of 80% mark. This is crazy. I like it. The reason that I like it, and I want to break this down, is the fact that when you have people that hold 3, 4, 5, they're able to kind of sell off at particular points, and then they can still be in the ecosystem. It also means that if people do become emotionally attached and invested in the Possessed, they're not going to be able to exit without selling their entire bag. And I feel like this does kind of bring in a little bit of kind of a long-term holder mentality when you're kind of tied to a project in that sense. When we have a look at the percentage only holding one NFT, we can see that we're at 90%. So what this kind of shows you is the fact that some of the people that did offload, it just kind of went into just more people. The fact that we had 92% kind of holding the NFT, and that's gone down to 89%. So we've got an extra 3% of people that have kind of sort of accumulated more. Now, this next one, and I find this really, really interesting, considering the holders that are holding sort of 30, 40, or sort of like the between 15 and 30, is when we get down to the profit leaderboard. Now, I find this crazy interesting because the top profit taker, we can see here, not even 3 ETH. And this is moving, and the idea is that they can actually kind of, they can stretch out and get a bit more. And then within like the top 4, then we start hitting sort of under 1 ETH profit. And this is crazy because this is stupid hyped. Now, to kind of break this down, I think it also comes down to market sentiment. There isn't as much money flowing around. I think this is positive in a sense, the fact that you have got people not necessarily exiting completely. So you can see this top guy or top woman, they have sort of bought 2, sold one. The idea here is that they've actually kind of they're still in the game. So the top profit taker is still in the game essentially, but everyone else you can see here, bought one, sold one, bought one, sold one. This is pretty much that across the board, apart from the this person down here. What this means is it means that the top profit takers aren't taking crazy huge profits, and the fact that there are some people holding onto some larger bags and larger holdings means that it looks like they see a little bit of strength in this longer term, and they're not necessarily looking for a quick flip, and they're kind of seeing, and I don't want to be putting words in people's mouth, but the possible blue chip potential of a project, because the fact is you've got these people that are accumulating more and not necessarily offloading, and the top profit takers, and this is almost like the flip side and almost contradicts what I'm saying, and the fact is the top profit takers have just kind of seen that flip. If this was in a bullish center, if we're in a bullish mode, I'd kind of need to reevaluate what it is, but I need to take in market sentiment. And the fact is the market sentiment right now, some people just want to be able to take sort of almost a 0.3, 0.4 ETH flip. And the fact is a lot of these people around here are just kind of taking it because it is kind of money that they can kind of take and secure those profits. So you can't be hating on that. So it is a little bit kind of, you need to read between the lines and also take this data on yourself. And the fact is those top holders aren't selling, and the top profit takers haven't taken many profits. So it shows you there is a little bit more profit runway when it comes down to the project. Usually you would see sort of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 sort of ETH worth of profits, but saying that there is a larger distribution of this. Now what I want to touch on is the top 5 buying addresses and where their entry points are. So then we can have a look and gauge where some good entry points are, where they could be considered a deal or a discount. Now, when we jump in and have a look, we can see here that the top 5 buying addresses, especially first up, they were FOMOing in. They really wanted to get in, but there is a large clump at around that 0.6 mark. The cheapest entry price, excluding the mint, is at around this 0.5 mark. So if you can get one for close to a 0.5, and this is before reveal, you're then going to be getting in at a discount. So I would say that the top 5 buying addresses are averaging in at around that sort of 0.57 mark to 0.6 mark. So that shows you where the top 5 buying addresses, these are the people that are the most bullish on the project, the people that are most likely to buy in, that's where they're buying. Now, when it comes down to smart money and where they're buying, it's a similar deal, but these are people that have made good trades in the past. So following the smart money will kind of do you a good service if you kind of take cues from there. Now, this is very scattered, but what you can see is we need to exclude these bottom ones because of the mint, but you can see the fact that there are a lot of them getting in at around that sort of, well, there's a clump here to begin with that saw it between that 0.4 to 0.5 and gone, yeah, we'll take it. But then excluding this kind of run up because there was a little bit of FOMO there, we can kind of see at around that sort of 0.5 to 0.6 mark. So currently right now, if you're taking on the fact that you've got the smart money and the top 5 buying addresses, they're all accumulating within this range. And the fact that we are sitting within this range does make me feel that people are seeing something possible long-term with this project, and they are kind of hedging it and going, okay, cool, let's move into it. Now, what I want to touch on right now is the listings that are currently happening, so you can kind of get an overview of what the sort of sales pressure and then coinciding that with buying pressure could be. Now, when we have a look at the current listings, not much you can take away from here. All this stuff you can end up looking at Opensea itself. It's not like this will get much more choppy when we actually get to a reveal. Having a look at the amount of NFTs listed, we can see here that there is a total of sort of 1,500, and that it's not a bad kind of listing deal. It'd be nice to get this under 1,000, but saying that right now we are in kind of a situation where everyone's kind of a little bit strapped. But the fact that we were at sort of 15.94 and it's come down to sort of 15.35. I'm not saying that this is a crazy downtrend, but the fact is it feels like there have been people listing, and it feels like we are kind of running out of listings because there is a slight downtrend. It would be nice if we kind of went down more to around sort of a 1200. Then it would mean that the people that will, with the amount of listings dropping, will end up seeing the price essentially run up because the floor will be getting eaten. But it does show you that people aren't kind of piling on their listings currently. But right now we are just getting into the AM in the US, so people may see where the floor is and then kind of reevaluate their positions. But currently right now, the fact is it is on a slight downtrend. That's not a bad thing. Now, when we have a look at where people are actually kind of listing it, we've got 500 and sort of almost 600 above that sort of 0.88 mark and above. And then other than that, we are kind of seeing, so you've got 66 to get up to that 0.62 mark. So you need 66 sales. And then we get 139 between the 6.2 to 0.66. And then we kind of get a little bit higher up there. So it does mean that we're going to need to get through almost 200 sales to then almost get this up about a 0.1 ETH. So it shows you the floor is a little bit thin and gets thick very, very fast once some sales start kind of moving and they start kind of going. And then when we have a look at the listings and delistings of Smart Money and what they're actually doing and how they're navigating the space, what we can see here is the delistings are the sort of green, not many there, but the new listings are here. So what I think has happened here is the Smart Money that has kind of got in, they have then, there is this period where they've been off, seeing what's happening with the market. It hasn't continued to run, and there have been some listings put in place. And then as you can see, they are at around that sort of 0.5 to 0.7 mark. So they are kind of just sitting around a little bit. And the fact that Smart Money did get in a little bit lower, it may show you that they're just trying to de-risk a little bit. But a lot of the Smart Money did actually get in on a whitelist. So for them, this is a little bit of a flip there. So this is what I wanted to kind of break down when it comes to the Possessed, show you what was happening and where things are going. And there's just a fun little kind of tidbit before we head off is the new listings and sales. And the fact is we're kind of, the listings have dropped off, and it's looking good. Like with this, you want to be seeing so the listings are up the top here. And if we end up with listings and sales, and if we kind of end up with it down there, you're going to end up with a supply issue, which means that you're going to see the floor go up. That's basically, that's just something I wanted to kind of touch on really quick. So that is the Possessed post-drop analysis, who the holders are, top profit takers, how things are within the space. The reason I want to do this is it's a hyped drop, but it also gives you a look under the hood if you don't have a tool like Nansen, so you can kind of see what's happening and just give you a little bit of reassurance if you are looking at the project from the sidelines or if you're in the project looking at where it is. Now, when it comes to the project, I want to do a sort of price prediction post-reveal. Looking at where things are sitting right now, the fact that we're sitting at around that sort of 0.6 mark, I think it will go down to around a 0.35 mark. I think it will then come back up to maybe a 0.4, a 0.45 around that region. And then after that, it's on the team. The reason that it will kind of drop to that sort of 0.35 mark is the fact that after reveal, people will offload their less rare ones, collect more rare ones. And with the art and what they're actually doing, I think it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. So that is my prediction. I think it will drop down to that 0.35. It will then kind of, people will see that as a great bargain, jump in, scoop some up, and then it will kind of go back up to a 0.4 to a 0.45 mark. If, and this is a big if we end up seeing the Possessed actually kind of hold the floor strong or do a mini dip and then kind of get back up to where they are, and then you start seeing it to climb, at that point, it is all guns blazing, jump into the project, because there have been very few times where a project has held up after reveal. And if it does hold up after reveal, then it's off to the races and it's going to run. So with that in mind, if you are not looking to stay in this project longer term, the consensus is you sell pre-reveal and then don't look at what you sold, because you don't want to kind of be sad that you sort of dipped out on a rare one. But then if you are kind of want to plan on holding this or enter this, wait until the reveal, scoop something off the floor when it kind of comes down. So that is the consensus. That's how kind of these have played out time and time again. So thank you for kind of tuning in, checking out the post-drop analysis of the Possessed. Hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, please consider hitting up that subscribe button while you're down there. Also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.